Alrighty, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar, and I welcome you all back. And we're going to get started with our analysis. So let's go ahead and grab our bias chart, and we're just going to get our feelers out, kind of get our understanding of where everything is at. And so let's start with the euro. Um, you know, the euro is in between fibs, so I'm not convinced at this point that the euro's done going down. Okay, so if you're out there, trying to pick up the euro dollar for a long, I'm like I said, I'm a little concerned that we just haven't seen yet the the lows. Okay, because what I'm looking at right now is we happen to be in like what I call no man's land. All right, if you take a step back and you go out to the daily chart and you go, okay, well, we have this down channel. Now I say it's a down channel because it's very similar to the up channel that we have in the dollar index. Okay, so you look at this down channel, you're like, okay, well, we're not at the bottom yet. Okay, so, or we're not at the top, so there's no sense, in my opinion, trying to play right where we're currently at. The flip side is, okay, well, we've sold off, but when we've sold off and broken into new lows, we hadn't stopped at any fib level, none that I can see. Maybe there is one out there, very minor, that I haven't got my eye on, but frankly, I really don't see support. And let me delete this, and we can always redraw it. But I don't see any support till we get down to 108. So my 2 cents are, as we're rallying back and we come back to 109.10. Now remember, this is the spike low from down here, and maybe even all the way up to here. So let me grab this line here. We could realistically squeeze right back to the previous low right here, which is 109. I don't think I thought it was 109.40, but apparently 109.50. I mean, and we can really get back to 109.50 and still stay, in my opinion, breakdown territory. But I think it's possible that we rally back there. So, no, again, does that mean I want to get long? No, I'm not comfortable being long the euro dollar. I'd be more comfortable being on the short side of the euro. What I'd rather do is I'd rather sell rallies back to 109.50. So if you take resistance, you can say, well, 1.0910, 1.0950, right? And the bias is still bearish. Okay, the bias is still bearish, but we're looking for to sell into strength versus selling into weakness. Selling into weakness just doesn't make any sense to me. So what I'd rather do is be a seller up there. And to me, there's nothing to do right now. Okay, now does that, again, I'm going to reiterate, does that mean that there is no downside, or there's no downside left from right at this moment? No, absolutely not. I mean, the euro is so weak, the dollar is so strong, that at any moment, we could see a push right down through the support right to lows. Now, what I will do is I'm going to mark down the low here, okay, which is 108.60, 108.60, and then 108 will be support. So one point zero, actually 108, 1.0860, right? So there you go. Okay, and that's what we're looking at for support in the euro dollar. Again, I don't think there's anything to do here. I think you want to sell into strength, if you can. But the euro's too weak to be bought. but too oversold to be shorted. I hate that dilemma. That's the dilemma that we're facing right now. All right, let's take a look at the cable. So here's the pound dollar. Now, the pound looks a little firmer. It's trying to break higher today. Now, here, let me remove that. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove that. And let's kind of, I guess we'll take this. We'll drop it through here. And we're going to let's take that, and you can see that the pound's firming up. Now, do I think the pound's a great long? No, not necessarily, but it's probably a good long against some crosses. So if you're playing like the pound, you might look at the pound Aussie as a long, maybe the pound Canadian as a long, maybe the pound New Zealand as a long. Okay, there's a pound Canadian. Here's a pound New Zealand as a long. I mean, those are, I think, good opportunities where, oh wow, you might have that's a nice inverted head and shoulder pattern right here in the pound New Zealand, frankly. That looks really, that actually looks really nice. Hold on, I might actually put some on here. Let's see. Risk is below 169. There's 161% extension here. I mean, yeah, I bought a little bit here at 171. If we can get above 171.37, then you got a nice inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna actually tweet this. I don't tweet a lot during this time of the day, but there you go, like this. I mean, you talk about oversold. I mean, the cable's really oversold anyway, so. See, I didn't even want to buy anything this morning, but I just talked myself into it. What's today? Today is 10/24. Can you believe it's almost Halloween? For those of you that celebrate it, I can't believe it. Where am I at? What is this? New Zealand. All right. Pound New Zealand. Possible inverted head and shoulder setup if we break 171. What was this? 171. Just call it 71.50. All right. All right. Like I said, I picked up a little bit. Just it's more or less just trying to find something to do right now because I know I'm not really going to be trading the dollar much. So there's a possible. I just tweeted that out. Okay. So anyway, those might be options for you. Things that you might look at versus trying to play the dollar because it's like, okay, well, the pound I know is weak, but we might get enough to where we could squeeze. I mean, the cable could squeeze back to 123 without much of an issue, right? So I think that 123.25. Now, if you don't recall, and this is something that I actually remember from last week, the 123.25. Why it was such a big deal is because it was the 618 retracement. right? So 123 and a quarter is big resistance. Big resistance on the 4 hour. It held like a champ twice. Support at this point. I think any dip back down to 122 should probably support the cable pretty well, because this is an upsloping trend line, right, through here. So we should be, I'm going to write down actually 121.80 as being support. All right. Okay. And thanks, guys, for the retweets. That's really nice of you. I still think that the pound is bearish. Even though that it's finding some support, I still think the cable is, a bearish currency. All right, here is the dollar Swiss. Now, I sold my dollar Swiss. I sold it on on Friday when we were right up here. I sold at 99.49, I think, and that failure to take out 99.60 was pretty much a big deal. All right. The highs were 99.55, 99.54. I'm going to have to write that down. Okay. Doesn't mean that it's just a open invitation to short this thing either, because if we break 99.55, this thing's going to fly. Period. End of story. All right. Now, what makes more sense to me is just buying on dips, and I'd rather be a buyer. I don't know if I'd be a buyer today necessarily. I'd rather actually see a little bit, bigger dip, but 99.10 should be support. Then below that, I'll write 99.10 as being support for now. All right. And it's bullish. It's bullish. It could drop all the way down to this blue line right here and still be bullish. So I'm kind of hoping we do. See a pullback to like 98 cents, because I'd be long down there if we could get it. I just don't know if we're going to get that steep of a pullback in the dollar. We'll find out, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. All right. Dollar yen. Now, I did sell my dollar yen. I got out of it on, I want to say it was Friday morning or Thursday night. I got out of it at 104.20. All right. Now, I am still very bullish the dollar yen. I am. But I still think it's possible that we get a pullback to this 102.90, which is a 38% retracement, which also could take us down here to 102.80, which would be this, horizontal low right here. Now, that doesn't mean we're going down here. That just means I think it's possible. I would rather be a buyer on dips. So if we do dip down to 103, I will be a buyer if we can get it. If we break above 104.60, we're just all going to have to chase it higher. That's all there is to it. So I can extend this out a little bit too, but okay. 104.65, 102.80. It's all the same numbers that we've written down for the last, I don't know, forever and a day. So 102.80. I think we wrote down these same numbers on Thursday and Friday of last week, but 104.65 is resistance, and that's a key level resistance. And even I'm bullish, but it's not quite bullish yet. It's still a range. I'm going to get very bullish if we break above those highs. So if we ever break above those highs, I'm going to get really bullish here. Okay, let's take a look at the Canadian. So The dollar Canadian ripped higher on Friday. Yeah, the CPI numbers, the you know, crude oil nose diving. I mean, you know, crude oil looks like we might have a failure up at $52, and I'll tell you guys, this dollar Canadian looks bullish. Okay, it really does. Now I see how we're stopped up against some trend lines here. So there's your, you know, there's your daily chart here. You got this resistance through here that we broke. You know, I mean, it looks bullish. There's no if and or buts about it on the dollar Canadian. Now, again, does that mean I'm going to be a buyer here? I'd rather not. But if you want to play, you know, you want to play the Canadian currency, maybe it's better through a cross and not the dollar. Especially if crude oil dips below 50. I mean, we're closing in on 50 today. So if we break below 50, you know, that might be the catalyst that drives us higher here. Could be. Breaks us out. Again, if you're not comfortable buying the dollar, I get it. You know, maybe you trade it through some crosses. So 134 is going to be resistance. Okay, so 134 is going to be resistance. That's 127% extension of this. You know, remember we had a big hammer on the daily a couple of days back. I would be surprised if we didn't get a big hammer on the weekly. Well, we did somewhat. So 134 is resistance, and then we should find buyers on dips now to this trend line. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Let's take this. Basically, 133 should be pretty well supported today. So 133, and then resistance at 134. And the dollar Canadian has turned from range to bullish. Okay. Let's go over to the Kiwi. So here's the Kiwi, right? On the Kiwi, let me remove this, because I'm going to have to draw it again here in a moment. Okay, so in the Kiwi, we still have this head and shoulder pattern, right? We have what looks to be, in my opinion, a bear flag pattern. What I mean by that is we have a pattern that looks like this. You know, maybe something that looks like this. It's hard to judge exactly what it looks like, but something like that. All right. And so what that means is if we break below 71.40, then that flag starts again. All right. So I'm going to write that down, 0.7140, and that's significant because I am bearish to Kiwi. I am short the I'm short the Kiwi through the Aussie New Zealand, and now I shorted it through the pound dollar. So you know, because I'm long a little pound New Zealand. But if the Kiwi breaks through here, then you know that the Kiwi is ready to fall just in general. Resistance right now, at least near term, probably right here. Because if you think about this flag continuing, right? So if you think about this flag continuing like this, which we could bounce back to 71.80, still be in a flag before breaking down. So I'm going to write down 71.80, really tight ranges, obviously. And the Kiwi still looks bearish. All right, guys, I'll be back in a few minutes, and then we'll finish up with the Aussie dollar index, Peso, Swedish Krona, Norwegian Krona. Don't go anywhere. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we were just finishing up with the Kiwi, and we're gonna deal with the Aussie too. Markets are really quiet, as expected. I really expect a quiet day today, unless crude oil breaks below $50. That might kickstart some movements. But overall, oh man, hold on really quick. Did my light wave stop? I think it did. Hold on. Give me a second here. Stand by. Just let me relaunch this. Take me just a second. So we're going to go over the Aussie, dollar index, Peso, Swedish Krona, Norwegian Krona, and one second, please. Okay. All right. So, again, very, very quiet situation. Let's go over to the Aussie. So here's the Aussie dollar. Now the Aussie has, I've got Aussie New Zealand, and that's pretty much it. But this Aussie dollar had a massive reversal at the end of the week, last week, right? So I wouldn't mind being on the short side of the Aussie today at some point. Just looking, whoops, damn it, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to delete all the stuff that I just deleted, but that's okay. Because I'll have to redraw a lot of this. Let's do that, this. I'm going to keep that. Actually, I think we'll keep that just like here. Okay. So we all know we had this. Oh, here, let me remove these two. Okay. We all knew that we had this failed breakout, right? This failed breakout up here. Now, currently, let's delete this one too. Currently, we're bouncing, but the question is, how far is this bounce going to last? And in my opinion, it's not too much further. Okay, so that means that setting up for an Aussie possible short seems realistic. Okay, so a move from where we're currently at 76.27, a move back to 26.60, which would be a 50% retracement, basically previous support over here, seems like a logical place if you want to be on the short side of the Aussie. Like, I wouldn't mind selling the Aussie if we make it up to 76.60, knowing that we had this failed breakout attempt late last week. Okay, so that is how I'd rather play the Aussie. Can you short it right now? Sure, if you want to. I just think it's going to be a better short up here, So 76.60. Now we are still in a range. As much as I'm bearish the Aussie. Whoops. As much as I'm bearish the Aussie from this failed breakout attempt, and as much as I feel that we're going down to the triangle bottom and probably further, okay? So I feel that we are going to break through here eventually. I'd rather be short up here rather than being short right now. Now support today will be at this 75, we can call it 75.90, because remember last week we talked about a move below 76, take the stops below 76, get to 75.90 and then bouncing. That's exactly what's happened, right? So now below 75.90 and you'll get a little squirrely. Okay. Now let's go over to the dollar index. Okay, so here's your dollar. We are at the 786 retracement, also 127% extension, and there is move for a rally up towards the 161% extension. Now, I personally think that the dollar is going to stall somewhere around here, but I can't rule out the possibility that we can go up towards the 161% extension at 99.75. Now, so in other words, I think we're going to turn now, I think, but I haven't ruled out a possible move up here, and that's the thing that prohibits me right now from shorting the dollar. Now, if we were sitting at the 161% extension and at channel highs right now, I would be selling the dollar. I would be looking to get on the short side, but right now doesn't make any sense to me. So I think what we've got to do is we've got to just mark the resistance, which is right here. Hold on one second. 98.85. And then support's going to be right here at 98.20. Okay. And it's very bullish. All right. Let's go over to the peso. Now, you got to think that with the high probability right now that the market's thinking anyway that that Hillary Clinton is going to win this election, you got to imagine that's good for the peso, which means that a break below the 200-day moving average, a break below this trendline support, it's going to be very bearish for the peso, or for the US dollar Mexican peso, bullish for the peso. Now, I'm not 100% convinced that she's going to win yet. You know, unlike, you know, some people are very convinced that there's no way that Donald Trump's going to be able to pull this one off. Well, I said the same thing about the Brexit. You know, there's no way that you know, there's going to be a Brexit, and well, there was a Brexit. So 1880 is where the dollar Mexican peso turns bullish again. Okay. Now we have this channel. It's down sloping. Support is going to be key right here. Support will be key at 1845. I think resistance right now is at 1875, 1876. So 1845. 1876, and we are in a range currently. And I am a firm believer that if Donald Trump does lose this presidential election, I have to buy pesos, or we have to buy pesos. Okay, I do believe that, because I think the peso is going to strengthen, if he doesn't win. But again, that's something that we're not going to find out for a couple of weeks. Here's the US dollar Norwegian krona. Now, crude is closing in on 50 bucks. So if crude breaks below 50, we should break. Let's get rid of this. This is already a bull flag pattern, right? So if we break above, get rid of this. I don't think we need this. We have a bull flag pattern. It's already starting to build. So 828, a break above that would be extremely bullish. 8.28 support right now. They move down towards 820. Yeah, so any move back down here towards 820 would be very well supported. Oops. And we're in a range, but we're threatening to turn bullish here. We are. Because if you look at the US dollar Norwegian krona, we posted a false breakdown, excuse me. We consolidated in a flag, now we're breaking higher, and a move above these highs is going to be extremely bullish. Okay? All right, US dollar Swedish krona. Still holding up. While we're above 888, it's bullish. We have the 88% retracement is holding us this far at 894. I mean, this thing just looks really bullish. I'm not long either, but it still looks extremely bullish. Okay? All right. There's your bias chart. It is finished. And let me go over to questions. I don't know if we have very many questions.